Reading. Hey, how about Cincinnati and Joe Burrow? A couple questions surrounding this team, including Burrow recovering from a significant wrist injury that ended his season last year. He's also going to have a new offensive coordinator and some different offensive personnel. No more Joe Mixon, no more Tyler Boyd. And by the way, T. Higgins requested a trade because he's unhappy with his contract. So, Dan, with all of that said, do you think Burrow can return to form this year for the Bengals?
I don't understand what happened when it came to this NFL conference. Joe Burrow's at worst the second best quarterback in the NFL. That hasn't changed just because of his injury from last year. I'm not a doctor, but I do think he rebounds to be exactly what he was beforehand. The T. Higgins thing. Okay, so T. Higgins is unhappy. He's also going to be really motivated. He just watched Amon-Ra St. Brown get $1 gajillion. Okay, so he's going to watch Justin Jefferson get a huge number, and more than likely CeeDee Lamb. So you get a motivated player. As much as I love Tyler Boyd, and I love Tyler Boyd as that slot number 3 receiver, Jermaine Burton, who they drafted out of Alabama, I think has the chance to have the Puka Nacua type of, not that elite of a performance, not that elite, but that, where did this guy come from? I think he could have 60 or 70 catches for this offense. He averaged 20 yards per catch twice in college and run-first offenses. I think that addition makes the loss of Boyd way less than on the surface level.
Loss of Boyd, and I will say, questions about T. Higgins. Because he's going to the last year of his contract.
But he wants money.
He's not going to get the money.
But he's going to get it from someone.
Okay, right. So what's going to happen middle of the season if and when his knee's creaky, his hamstrings tight, his shoulder sore? Is he playing through those injuries weeks before he becomes a free agent? Or is he going to be making a business decision?
But here's the thing, Chef.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. You got to go get you think a team is randomly going to pay you if you're not healthy?
Yeah.
So what you want?
Absolutely. He's getting paid.
No.
Oh, he's getting paid.
Chef, if he goes and plays the way that T. Higgins has, you're going to tell me if T. Higgins 6 or 7 weeks in, and I don't want to even put that out in the universe. I want to say if he plays.
How many times have we seen this play out? I'll go back to Jarris Byrd, a safety in Buffalo, where he had all kinds of injury issues, becomes a free agent. New Orleans makes him the highest paid safety in football. Somebody, no matter what season T. Higgins has.
Defense and offense are two completely different things. So comparing them in this situation really does not make any sense.
Is going to pay him. And so at some point this year, I'm just saying, I think there'll be business decisions that are made. I think there will.
You think the business decision is to play?
Well, I think a couple years ago, fair point.
So,
the way that the receivers are coming in from college football nowadays, I think different.
Chef, I got to be with Dan on this one. I think that particular position changes it because we are seeing these dudes go for $1,200 their first year in the league. And the problem is with a lot of these, we just saw Stephon Diggs get traded.
Do you know how few quality players hit the market at a young age?
That's a fair point. That's a fair point.
But what incentive does T. Higgins have? I get it with injury. I understand
I'm not.
But I'm with Dan. If he is not motivated to go get almost $26 million a year,
he's going to go out and play his best.
Yeah.
My question is, every player gets nicked up, correct?
Yeah, but I don't
think.
think
At some point in the season, later on, hey, how many times is a guy questionable for Sunday? My question is, how many questionables is he playing through when he's weeks before becoming a free agent?
Okay, and no one's going to, if that actually is a real thing, no one is going to be dying to give T. Higgins a massive contract under that circumstance, because you need your wide receiver. These days, we're learning this especially. You want a wide receiver that has a good head on their shoulders, that is mature and ready to go. You are willing to take a Diggs these days when you already have a deeply established culture, right? Which the Texans were able to do very quickly, and so kudos to them that they felt that they could absorb any issues that maybe like a Diggs brings. But these days, you're not gonna have, if you need to get a team that has all this money to be able to pay someone the amount of money that these wide receivers potentially want. If you have a troubled wide receiver who is going to be causing problems, who's going to potentially be unhappy, who's going to be like, oh, my back's a little tight, I'm not going to play. A team like the Carolina Panthers aren't going to be dying to sign up for that, because that's going to continue to create a failed culture. So if T. Higgins wants his money and wants to play for a legitimate competitive team to win, well, then better believe that they're going to want to see this next year and how it goes. So I totally agree with Marcus Spears and Orlovsky. I get what Schefter is trying to say, but that he is thinking more, he's thinking less like an athlete and more like a salesman in that regard. And it's not accurate, because the truth is, if he's now misses a bunch of weeks and his numbers aren't that great, teams will use that against him. Yes, he's going to get paid, but T. Higgins obviously wants the maximum amount of money that he can get out of his contract. He wants to get as much as he possibly can. And if that's what he wants, then he knows that he needs to absolutely ball out. He knows that if he is like a top 2, top 3, whatever receiver this coming season, that is what's going to push him over the edge to get that CeeDee Lamb type money, or whatever CeeDee Lamb ends up getting, to surpass him. Because if it's anything less, if he plays like 8 weeks, 9 weeks, 10 weeks, and then misses a whole handful of games, and he played pretty well, but, he was banged up and didn't get his yards, and he's also disgruntled. I don't know what team's dying to have that, dying to pay him all this money and on a long-term deal. It's just not what's going to happen. And we've seen this happen with other receivers. CeeDee Lamb wanted all that money. Why didn't he do that? Why wasn't he like, oh, my back's tight, my quads, my hamstrings? He didn't do that because he knew every catch he makes, every touchdown he gets, every yard he gets will be another, dollar at the end of, another zero at the end of his check. So it matters. So I totally disagree. Maybe if you had a worse quarterback than Joe Burrow, then I could see that argument. Because with that argument, then you could say, all right, this is not a good team, not a good quarterback. We know T. Higgins is a really good wide receiver. What do you want him to do? It would be kind of a similar situation potentially with like Tennessee Titans and A.J. Brown. But with this, you have Joe Burrow. So your numbers better be rich, because Joe Burrow is an unbelievable quarterback. And like Orlovsky said, like the original question about, how good do you think Joe Burrow will be? Did I say Goff? I don't know if I said Goff. I meant to say Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow, he's obviously an elite quarterback. He's obviously one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, without a doubt. So to even question that is utter insanity. So your numbers better speak volumes. If Joe Burrow is throwing you the ball, your numbers better be legit, because no one's going to blame Joe Burrow, especially when they're trying to get a good deal on a receiver. They're not going to say, oh, we believe in you, but we think you would have been even better if you had a better quarterback, because they're going to look at that and say, our quarterback's not as good as Joe Burrow, and look at his numbers. Can we expect him to be better? Because he also has Jamar Chase on the other side that takes a lot of attention away. Like, there's a lot of keys and weapons for Joe Burrow and the Bengals, where it's kind of like, all right, if you can't survive, if you can't thrive in that environment, what makes you think that you're going to thrive in our environment, where we probably have less weapons, more attention and focus will be on you, both defensively and offensively for that matter. So your job will get more difficult. And then your question, can you carry the load? So I think I just totally disagree with what Schefter is saying. I think, the 2 points to drive home is that Joe Burrow is an elite, unbelievable quarterback. To even question that is insanity to me. I don't know why today everyone's questioning whether or not all these quarterbacks are good or not. Obviously, Joe Burrow is absolutely elite, and I think T. Higgins has all the incentive. The dude's got like 25, 30 million, whatever incentive reasons to be incentivized to say, I need to ball out. So that's just the way I see it. I would absolutely love to hear your thoughts. Do you think Joe Burrow is still an elite quarterback? Apparently, that's a question. And what do you think about T. Higgins? Do you think he's incentivized to actually ball out and do everything he can? Or do you think he'll say, oh, my calf's a little tight, I'm going to sit this one out and get a massage? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.